when I first reached out to Mr. Boccasam a couple months ago during Labor Day weekend, I wasn't really sure if someone as busy as Mr. Boccasam would be able to make time for us to come spend at TJ and actually speak with us, which is why I'm especially happy, like all of us here, to give a warm welcome to Mr. Boccasam and welcome to TJ.
Thank you.
And so just some quick background information. Mr. Boccasam is an industry leader and entrepreneur who has founded multiple companies, and has also served in the executive leadership and prestigious venture capitals as well as private equity firms. Some of the company including the Novak Biddle Venture Partners. And so Mr. Boccasam is also the chairman and managing partner at Jorn Capital down in Bethesda. He's also a partner at Coda Capital down in San Francisco. And so he's also very active in philanthropy, both in local and global capacity. And so without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Ohm to kick us off with the first question of the session.
All right, thank you. First off, thanks to Roosh and our External Relations Committee. They've done a great job of organizing this event today. I know you guys are going to learn a lot from this, so if you feel free to take notes, pictures, or whatever, we are going to be recording this so you can watch on our YouTube channel later. And Mr. Boccasam, thank you so much. Welcome to TJ. I know we're all excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited as well.
All right, great. Well, here's how this is going to work for now. I'll ask you a bit of questions about your career in venture capital, maybe some things you're interested in. And then we'll move on to Q&A portion where you guys, the audience, can ask questions. Well, I'll just call on you guys, raise your hand, I'll call on you. But this is a really great resource for you guys to ask any questions about finance, private equity, or venture capital. All right, so I guess we'll start with this. So we have somewhat of a novice audience. We're not, industry specialists in venture capital or finance yet. So could you explain what venture capital or VC is to the club, and maybe what role it plays in the global economy?
Yeah. So, you all know what capital is, right? What is capital? Yeah. It could be human resources, very good. What else? What else is capital?
Resources and something like monetary?
Yeah, it could be money, yes. What else? What else? What else are resources? You guys are tired a little bit, end of the day, too many questions? Yeah, maybe a little bit? Okay, so let's ask another question, which is, what is a resource that you think is completely untapped and can never be exhausted? Is there a resource in the world that you know that is inexhaustible? Yes?
Air.
Air? Sorry?
Labor.
Labor. Well, we have a fixed amount of people, right? So, yes?
Our mind. Our intellect.
Very good. Wow. Let's give him a big free pizza for him. All right. All right. So this is what maybe you'll do. So he tells me that pizza is going to be over by the time we're done, right?
Yeah, it was just a passing period thing that they had.
Okay, so they're going to have it again next time?
Um,
Okay, how about we do this? You said the next popular thing for the kids are Chick-fil-A.
yeah.
Okay, free Chick-fil-A for you. So anyone that answers questions or participates gets a free Chick-fil-A. How about that? All right, suddenly now everyone wakes up. Everyone wakes up. All right, that's great. Okay, great answer. Okay, so we answer what capital is. Okay, what does venture mean? What does venture mean? Yes.
Like similar to like adventure, you're reaching out to something that's usually not explored.
Okay.
It's like a startup.
Okay, good. What else? What does venture mean?
Like pursuing opportunity.
Yes. What else? What else about pursuing the opportunity? Chick-fil-A. What else? What else is? What happens when you do what you all said? Very good. Chick-fil-A for him. Right? So when you think about those two things, what are the two things? Sorry?
Capital venture.
Capital and venture, but what's the other way to think about it? Risk and? Risk and?
Knowledge, risk.
And potential, right? Mind, right? Potential. Human potential is something that can never be tapped, correct? Fully, correct? It's inexhaustible. Every one of you can all come up with ideas, right? Mark Zuckerberg or whoever else that you look up to, they don't have a monopoly on ideas, correct? No one has a monopoly on ideas. Would you agree with that? Yeah? Anyone disagree? Good. So think about what venture capital is, which is taking the best minds and putting it to the riskiest possibilities. Make sense? Right? So when Facebook got started, or Instagram, or what's your favorite app today? What's the favorite app du jour? Anyone? What's that? Snapchat. Okay, what else? Is there something newer? Snapchat's been around. TikTok. Okay. What else? Any other new app that you all have played or made interesting?
Could be a game too.
Could be a game. Yeah, anything.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Okay. So take any one of those examples, right? Would you have put money into those companies, knowing today what they are? You would, correct? Or is there any, so if you already know the answer, would you put any money into it? That's an easy thing to do, right? So venture capital means putting money where the risk is so high that the rewards could also be extremely high. That's what venture capital is. It's taking risks, right? So what is the earliest form of risk taking that you all know? Sorry? Gambling? Yeah, good. That's a good answer. Chick-fil-A for you. So we got 3 Chick-fil-A's, okay? Someone keep count. You keep count, okay? All right. So, very good. What else? What is the earliest form of risk taking? Anyone? Earliest form. Quitting school? Yeah, perhaps. Yes? Riding a bike. Okay, it's only a risk for a little while, but after you know how to ride it, it's not risky anymore, right? Hunting? That's pretty good. Investing? But even before investing, like what was the very earliest form of risk taking? Hunting is a very good answer, by the way. That requires half a Chick-fil-A. Playing sport? Yeah.
Lying.
Huh?
Lying.
Lying.
Or telling a lie.
Telling a lie. Risk taking? That's interesting. Maybe you two guys can share a Chick-fil-A. Yes?
Taking your first step.
Taking a first step, but how? No fries for him. Just joking. No, so if you think about it, right? Someone said exploring adventure. The very early form of venture capital came from the original explorers, including who discovered America? Christopher Columbus, right? What's that? The Vikings. Christopher Columbus, right? So the word venture, right, and venture capital comes from that venture we talked about. And the compensation scheme for how people get paid as a venture capitalist also comes from that old world of adventure seeking through sailing. So people say, hey, we don't know what's beyond, right, the 7 seas. Why don't you go explore? I'm going to give you money to buy a boat, right, to find people to get on that boat, and whatever else that you need, to travel long distances. But when you get there, and let's say you find gold, which they did here, right, or coal, or whatever else that they ended up finding here, you get a piece of the action, right? You get a piece of it. And that's called carry. Okay? So that's how venture capitalists get paid. It's called carry. And that carry, the word carry, comes from this idea of carried interest, which is when you travel over and you make money, right? In addition to the entrepreneur who makes the money, people who invested in it also make money. Okay? So that's what venture capital means, which is what? Risk taking that have a high risk to reward ratio on ideas that have not been found yet. Right? Any of you know this company called Google? Google, you all know Google? Yeah, good. So do you know at the time Google got founded and funded, do you know how many other search companies there were? Anyone? There was Yahoo, very good. There were quite a few, right? So the person who invested in Google already knew that there were 10, 20 other search companies. Why did Google get so powerful? Yes? User-friendly, good, what else? Advanced search-based algorithms, what else? It was faster, okay. What else?
Was it? I think it was like it wasn't limited to the public's knowledge. Like everyone could, is that Wikipedia? Everyone could put like knowledge and information into it. So there wasn't like a limited amount of information.
Yeah. So another way of saying it, good. That's very, very good. The way to think about it is, if you look at companies like Google, right? That again is a very wealthy company. What they got good at was search, correct? And the way they got good at it was every time someone clicked on a link on Google search, it told the algorithm, just like TikTok does today. Right? When you watch one of those TikTok thingies, it knows what you watched and how long you watched it, and it feeds you more and more of those. Okay? It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. So what venture capital requires is tapping that human potential, okay, that people have, and obviously very, very smart, right? There were fast algorithms. They took in a lot of customer feedback and made it better every single day. So the more you searched, the better it got, right? And the better it got, more people used it. Because more people used it, more people advertised on it. And because more people advertised on it, Google made more money. And because Google made more money, they wrote better algorithms. Better algorithms made what? People use it even more, and the cycle continues. That is a perfectly good example of a great venture capital investment, which is when you make money in and you have what's called a moat. You know what a moat is? What's a moat?
Like in the most literal sense.
Yeah, moat. What does moat mean?
Water.
Water that does what?
That separates two pieces.
All right, Chick-fil-A for him. How many Chick-fil-A's today?
5.
5? Okay. Yeah, because what you want for venture capital to work is a high degree of moat, which is defensibility, right? Why hasn't Microsoft or Facebook, right, or Amazon been able to take down Google in search? It's because of technology and algorithms, all the stuff that you talked about, right? So that's a very good example. So for venture capitalists, roughly, a $1 invested in Google, right, in today's terms, probably was worth hundreds of dollars, if not thousands. Okay? But how do you know Google is going to be successful if you have 20 other search engines? Okay? That's why venture capital is a extremely risky business and is a lot like gambling. You don't know what's going to be successful. What you watch for as a venture capitalist is, are the people behind the companies incredibly smart, right? Did they go to TJ or not, right, is one signal. Right, you guys are all extremely smart. But also, can they maintain their competitive moat, and can they build on the strengths of the market, the computing technology that you have, right? So it could very well be, for example, I don't know if you saw this recently, that NASA and the Pentagon, very recently, this is like from this past week, cut of research in quantum computing. You know what quantum computers are? Right? You all know what quantum is? Really? You have a class in quantum computing here?
We do.
Wow, that's incredible. So what is quantum computing? Yes.
Well, it's a computer that uses laws of physics rather than math. So, for example, instead of using binary digits, they operate on qubits, which the main advantage to is that they can hold two states simultaneously, multiple states simultaneously instead of a 0 or 1.
Chick-fil-A, right?
Definitely.
All right. Fantastic. Why is quantum computing, you think, very powerful, and what kinds of problems do you think it can solve?
It's just really efficient. It's going to allow us to do a lot of things.
Sorry?
It's really efficient, so it allows us to do a lot of things and just have it more powerful.
Yeah, computers in general are efficient and powerful, but what's specifically about them that makes it incredibly powerful? Yes.
Mathematical computations.
Math,
Probabilities.
probabilities. What else?
Like security.
Security. That's right. Right? Because a combination. So maybe they share on the Chick-fil-A. Maybe. All right. The idea is that you could solve large cryptographic hashes in very short periods of time. So if people can crack encryption using quantum computing, it could be extremely dangerous, right? Because it can be used by hackers, right? To crack your password and get access to your bank account, right? So quantum computers are, again, a classic example of where venture capital can be approached for early access to money where high risk can be taken. That's what venture capital is all about. Okay, you get a good sense of it?
Yeah.
So it's very early stage money, looking at potential ideas that may or may not work, that has high risk, high reward, that is surely based on the ingenuity of people like you.
Cool. So one thing that we were talking about in previous club meetings was the applications of engineering principles and mathematical thinking in the business world and finance, and I guess in this scenario, venture capital. So you graduated in 1989 with a degree in computer science and went on to pursue a PhD in computer engineering. Every student here is an engineer by nature. We all came here to learn STEM, whether that's in biology, mathematics, or computer science.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that our club focuses on is how do those two fields correlate? So in your career as a venture capitalist, how do those engineering principles from your education, still impact your work today?
Great question. What do engineers do? What do engineers do? Yes.
Solve problems.
Solve problems, but how? How do they solve problems?
Create new technology to solve problems.
Okay, what else? Okay,
They innovate.
yeah, innovate, same thing. What else? What else do they do? In a much more basic term. How do they solve problems? They create things, okay. What does that mean? What's the word I'm looking for?
They invent stuff.
Yes, but how do they invent stuff? How did Edison invent stuff?
They think.
They think, good. And they think and do what? Yes. They experiment. They test. Everything that they come up with, their hypothesis, okay, can be tested. That's what engineers do. Scientists just think, right? But they also need what? They also need to be able to test their things. So anyone can come up with an idea, but you have to be able to figure out its testability, correct? And that is what engineers do. But engineers have to go one step beyond, which is build tools and systems and frameworks to make sure that the tests that they do can be conducted as well as be measured, right? Because if you can't measure it, you don't know if it's worked or not, correct? So that's what engineers do. So that's what engineering in general will help you do, that if you're a tinkerer and you're an experimenter and you like to understand not just theory, but you want to understand how to design things that could make or break things, right? Sometimes you need to design things that break things, right? What's a good example of that? That breaks things. What's that? A jackhammer, excellent example, right? You need things that break things, correct? So you have to design a jackhammer or a boring machine, right? You have to build a large tunnel, right? Do you all know this humanoid called Elon Musk? He has this thing called a boring company, right? It's a large boring machines that has to bore through large mountains, correct? So that's what an engineer does, right? Engineering principles allow you to have a mind of testability. And what does that tell you? What does that engineering mindset tell you? Anyone? What does an engineering mindset tell you?
It's okay to fail and try.
Very good. Will you share your Chick-fil-A with someone else? Because I think you already got one.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You can give it to your favorite friend, okay? Excellent. Right? Said it's okay to fail, right? And that's what engineers do, is to create experiments that allow you to fail, so that when you fail, you are learning something. So there is no such thing as failure for an engineer. It's just one other thing I have tried that doesn't work. Okay? So don't be fearful of failure. Okay? What else? And how much time do we have, by the way? Because I want to make sure you catch your bus at 3:59.
Well, that's a good reminder. I think we're just made it in time for the Q&A portion.
Okay.
So, does anyone here have any questions that they would like to ask?
So you majored in CS. How does like people that you work with, their majors affect your decisions?
Say that again?
So how does other people that you work with, their majors affect your decisions to invest, their background knowledge?
You know, truth be told, that most where you went to school or what you studied literally has no bearing on the ideas or the problems that you want to solve. Okay? So whether you want to be an investor or you want to be an entrepreneur, the most important thing that you all can take away is to find something that you are curious about. Okay? You're all curious about something, correct? Do you know what you're curious about? What are you most curious about?
Money.
No, I'm talking to this guy right here. Yes. What are you curious about? Anything? You see how difficult that answer question is, could be? Because it's hard, okay? So when you think about it, right, find out what you're really curious about. This investment club, right, you're all curious about how to make money. But if you start to chase money, you'll never find it. That's what I've found. If you try to chase happiness, you'll never find it. If you try to chase the ball, you'll never get the ball, whether it's soccer or something else, right? What you have to do is to design a system where the ball comes to you, right? Or design a system. That's what engineers do. So be curious about things where you have the passion to go through all of the failures of ups and downs to find the real answer, right? That's what is the most important thing. If success is here, most people give up here. They don't go here. Okay? So be curious about whatever it is that you're working on. And there are hundreds and thousands of things to be curious about. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay? You might be curious about how the next drone, right, can deliver drugs in rural areas, or identify critters. Could be whatever. This innovation is just about everything you can think of. Okay? So as part of the investment club, right? Then you have any questions? I have like 5 things that I want to make sure that you take away, so you remember. It's not just about investment per se, but these are things that you could use in your life. Okay? Yeah. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So my main question is, how does a venture capital firm, for example, deal with risk? Because as you said, venture capital is a high-risk industry. So let's say you invest 10 million into a new biotech startup that could maybe, apparently they claim to have the cure for Alzheimer's, right? But it's a long road to success because maybe new board members come on and they change something. Maybe a bunch of scientists decide to resign for whatever reason. Maybe some government legislation hinders advancement.
Yeah, got it.
All these external factors that hinder this. However, investing in this company would be beneficial for the world because there is a chance for them to develop this drug and cure Alzheimer's, which would only do good for the world, and rather than not investing in it.
Yeah, venture capital is a lot about making multiple bets. Okay? So depending upon the size of your venture capital firm, right? You could be a $10 million venture capital firm. You could be a $100,000 venture capital firm, right? You all could get $10,000 from your family and friends, and you could create a venture capital firm today, right? If you had access to it. But it's determined by how much money you can put into each of them. So venture capital, right, follows what's called as a power curve, okay? And the idea is that the more you make investments, the more bets you're making. So venture capital is, if you have $100, would you make $100 bet, or would you make 10 $10 bets? So all of you would make 10 $10 bets?
No.
You would make $100 bet?
Because high risk, high reward.
Diversify.
But that's also
What
low
else we broke?
low risk, low reward. Well, yeah, but he's talking about venture capitalists.
He just said.
Never mind.
Okay, look, there are 2 different, look, there's no right answer, okay? But in general, venture capital, you wouldn't take all your money and put it into one company, okay?
Oh,
So what you would do is you'd say, look, maybe there are 10 other approaches to solving the Alzheimer's problem, okay? So I'm going to take 10 different ideas, because I don't know which one's gonna work, and try to solve that problem. Okay. In some cases, you might put it into competing companies so that they can find alternative ways of solving the problem. Because in early stage venture capital, it's almost impossible to know what the answer is. So you know what that is called? It's called intellectual humility. Okay, not hubris. So what you need to have in venture capital is understanding that you don't know. You don't know the answer to it. You don't know if the Google was going to be successful or Yahoo, which was 10 times the size. Yahoo tried to buy Google for $1 billion and they said no, thankfully. Right? So in early stage venture capital, the question is, you got to make as many bets as possible, right? Each with differing levels of risk where you can maximize your returns. Okay? So do you all understand the concept of compounding interest? You all understand what it is? What is so powerful about it? Who hasn't answered a question yet? You. You with the brown shirt. Yes.
It's basically kind of like the interest was spent on the product. So it has very powerful and insidious way of spreading up income
Right, because that is why compounding interest is good. Right? It's called the 8th wonder of the world. Right? So compounding interest, right, as you think about being as part of investment club, you should think in terms of compounding effects. Okay? So keep that. It's a very hard concept, okay, to do it. So investment clubs, one of the big questions you have to answer is, why should I give you money to invest in when I can put money in the market and create value by compounding interest over time?
I guess along those lines, I do have a follow-up question on that. So deal making and negotiating must be a very big part of venture capital, whether it's with your fellow partners or with founders themselves. How do you approach negotiations? What are some strategies you take into the boardroom?
Well, most venture capital firms have what's called as investment committees, right? And there are two, again, trains of thought or philosophies. One is you get everybody around the table to agree that this is a good deal, right, to invest in. Or you have someone who's so passionate about a particular idea or they have a very unique angle that you may actually end up investing in it as a partner, even though none of the other people believe in it. And that's actually been true of Snapchat, it's been true of Facebook, it's been true of a lot of companies that have gotten successful. Not everyone agreed, right, that you needed something like Facebook. In fact, there were a whole bunch of other companies that looked like them, that didn't go anywhere. Same thing with MySpace, right? Or if you use Spotify, there were hundreds of Spotifys prior to Spotify. Okay? So a lot of it depends upon, again, the individual, right? The human ingenuity you talked about, the potential, right? And the ability to take risks and try different things in a very resilient way. Okay? So one last thing that I think I want to make sure, right? One is the compounding interest we talked about. The second most important concept I'd like for you to think about, this idea of inversion. You know what inversion is? It's a very powerful concept. It can apply to you in your life as well as in investments. So there was a very famous gentleman by name Charlie Munger. Anyone know who he is? Oh, you know. Okay. How do you know?
He was Warren Buffett's partner.
Very good. Yeah, he passed away yesterday at the age of 99. Right? Now, he was actually my hero. One of my questions I had for the team is, who do you admire? Right? Make sure you have someone that you look up to. I looked up to Charlie Munger. And he was a silent partner, but a brilliant partner, who Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, used to call him the no man, right? The abominable no man, used to call him. Because he would know when to say no to deals. And he had a very powerful concept called inversion. And inversion actually means not asking the question is, how am I going to be a successful investor? That's not the question you should be asking yourselves. Okay? What you should be asking yourself is, what are the things that prevent me from making successful investments? So you invert the problem, because the minute you start to think about it in terms of success, you won't think about all the different ways in which you're going to fail. So it's better to ask, what are all the different things why this doesn't work, which is an engineering mindset, than saying, this is how it's going to work. Make sense?
Great.
You guys get that concept? With that, let's close out.
I think before our lightning round, we do have enough time for one more brief question if anyone has anything they want to ask. In the back?
Great question. In venture capital, or at least it used to be, that the venture firm, Novakville, that backed all of my 3 companies said, hey, you made us enough money, to help us kind of build our firm. Why don't you help other entrepreneurs as well by bringing your expertise to being a part of the venture capital company? So I got recruited to being a part on the venture capital side. And I would urge all of you that before you go into analyzing businesses, that you first be understanding of what it is to be in an entrepreneur's shoes. Because if you don't understand what it is to be like an entrepreneur, it's hard to empathize with them. Okay, but great question.
All right. Well, with that, we have a couple of minutes left for a lightning round.
Sure.
So if you're familiar with them, basically a short question with one
Short
answer.
answer.
Short answer, right? So first question, most memorable startup you've worked with?
There's a local company here called Appian. It's right on Tyson's Corner. They're still around. I started with them, backed them when there were 4 people. Now there are thousands of people in a public company.
Cool. What is the worst career advice you received?
A lot of them, unfortunately, and most advice is actually bad. So including mine that I gave today. So always question, the advice. So no advice is really good or bad. It's you have to have the filter to figure out if it's applicable to you or not, right? So when most people don't ask people for the answer, ask people how they got to the answer. Learn about the how, okay? More than what the answer really is about, okay? So learn the process of the how.
Okay, and the last question before we wrap up. So you're involved in multiple social causes, board member of several nonprofit organizations. A lot of students here have their own social ventures as well. If you could immediately solve one social issue today, what would it be?
I would solve the issue of isolation.
All right, great.
Isolation, right? We're all one. We always have to figure out a way to help each other, okay? So do one thing and always ask someone else what you can do for them.